Good morning.
Hello.
And welcome to another Critter Corner with me, Jurassic Mark, with my favourite mug.
And me, Emily Exotic, without a mug.
And this week we're doing something different, which is we're going to do some common questions and answers about snakes. And some of these have been sent in, so we'll be doing some sent in ones and some that are just common generally. So this is a good question. It depends on the snake. Constricting snakes, like the pythons that we have behind us, they grab their food, they wrap, they essentially suffocate the animal, they stop it from breathing, it can't breathe out. Once it's breathed in, it compresses the lungs. And often the prey item, like a rodent, will have a cardiac arrest and die fairly quickly, within a couple of minutes, generally. And they eat big prey, so rats, mice, that kind of thing, up to goats if you're a very large python. And they eat very rarely, maybe once in the wild every 2 months. And the royal pythons we have behind us can go up to a year without eating. So one big prey item could last a snake maybe a year. Venomous snakes bite and envenomate their prey with a toxin. But generally they bite, they envenomate, the prey item runs away, it dies from essentially the toxins running around its body, and the snake then goes up and swallows it whole. Snakes only ever swallow whole. They don't bite their food into pieces. They have to swallow it whole because they don't have any arms, of course, to rip prey apart. So it's always a whole swallowing thing. One of the common misconceptions here is about their jaw. So a lot of people think that snakes dislocate their jaw. They don't dislocate their jaw. Their jaws are in fact extremely flexible. And they have, where we have hard bone here, for example, and at the sides, they have cartilage like we have in our knees and our elbows and things that help us move around. So what a snake will do when it's swallowing a large prey item is it actually expands that cartilage with its muscles in its jaw, so it pulls it apart. So it looks like it's dislocating its jaw, but it's actually just expanding the joints and then crawling over the prey. That's essentially how it eats. So it doesn't actively necessarily swallow, it moves its mouth around the prey and pulls it in as it goes. So it's almost like it's walking over the prey. So that's the answer on feeding.
The actual size of snakes ranges from about 10 centimetres to 9 metres, obviously depending on the snake, but they all grow in the same way. So unlike humans who kind of just shed skin as it gets old, snakes shed their skin all in one go, which is called molting. So basically how they do it is the epidermis of a snake's skin begins to create new cells, which then separates the old layer from the new layer that's growing underneath. And then when that outer layer is ready to shed, the snake tends to scrape its mouth against something like a rock or a bit of bark so that it starts shedding from the head downwards. And it kind of continues to scrape along the rock or bark until all of the skin is completely off and it's got just a dead skin shed left behind and really nice shiny new scales underneath. So it takes around 14 days from start to finish, the whole process, and is repeated anywhere from a few days if it's growing quite fast to sort of a few months. And a couple of fun facts as well. So did you know, Jurassic Mark, that the number of scales stays the same throughout their entire lives?
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, there you go, that's a fun fact. And also that scales are made of keratin, which is the same stuff in your fingernails. So that will come on to what snakes feel like later, but that might give you a little bit of a hint. And in terms of age, in the wild, depending on the species, they tend to get to around 10 years old, but then in captivity they can be sort of 20-25 years. So they have a nice long life in their little vivariums. There's kind of a few different names for a group of snakes. One of the most common ones is sort of a den or a nest, but There's also a pit of snakes or even a bed of snakes, which is a lovely thought. But my favourite is that a group of rattlesnakes is called a rumba. Did you know that?
I did not know
A
that.
rumba of snakes, rumba of rattlesnakes. One of the big questions that a lot of people ask and that our viewers are also curious about is, what are the most dangerous snakes in the world? But this can kind of be split two ways. It depends whether you're talking about the ones with the most potent venom, are you going to die immediately? Or is it the ones that kill the most every year?
Okay, good question. So we have two lists. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't do it the Churchill way, I'll do it the proper way. So list one is the most venomous snakes. So these are the ones that the venom is so toxic that tiny amounts could kill a person, but they're not necessarily the most dangerous snakes, and we'll come on to why when Emily does her list. So list one, the most toxic snake is commonly agreed to be the Belcher's sea snake. And sea snakes are generally regarded as the most venomous snakes because they kill their prey, which are fish, fast-moving animals, almost instantly. If you've ever seen a sea snake kill a fish, it's so fast you hardly see it. The Belcher's sea snake, a few milligrams, and imagine how small a milligram is, of venom could kill 1,000 people. The good thing about a Belcher's sea snake is they're very docile and they rarely bite, and actually even if you can provoke one into biting, which is very difficult, it will be what's known as a dry bite half the time. So they won't even inject venom, they'll just bite you to say, go away. Second on my list is the inland taipan, which is the one that most people will recognise in Australia. One bite from an inland taipan will kill 100 humans. And again, the benefit of the inland taipan is it's not particularly aggressive, and it's going to be difficult to, accidentally come across one in the wild. They're in the centre of Australia, as their name suggests, hot areas, desert areas, not many population people out there. So, but one bite from that and you're in big trouble. The next one is the eastern brown snake, again in Australia, and 1 ounce of eastern brown snake venom can kill 14,000 humans. So that's not nice. Second not nice about the eastern brown, it's aggressive if provoked and will bite multiple times. So that is one nasty snake. Do not go near it or touch it. They're aggressive, they'll come after you if you go near them, and it's an extremely potent venom. Next one, I'm sure most of you have heard of a black mamba in Africa. It's called a black mamba, not because it's coloured black, but because its mouth is coloured black. And what it does is in a threat display, it'll open its mouth like this, and all of this bit is going to be black. And it's like a sort of a black, scary thing coming towards you. Commonly regarded as the fastest death if bitten, if a human is bitten. 15 minutes could be it for you. More likely you've got an hour or two, but 15 minutes from bite to death is very possible. And worst of all is they are aggressive. They will strike multiple times. They can rear up onto and actually strike your head. So they'll actually bang you in the head 3 or 4 times because they can get that high. Not only that, they move at about 12 miles per hour, which I think is faster than I could run now. Usain Bolt runs at about 20, so he can get away. But I can't run through the bush. Imagine running through bushes and tall grass where a snake is doing 12 miles per hour through that. And they will chase you if you provoke them hard enough. So not to be messed with. The last two I have are the blue crate, which is in Asia, predominantly India. 85% fatality rate. So if you get bitten by that in India, or the people in India that get bitten by that snake, 85% of them will die from that bite. So a very nasty snake indeed. And the last one is the coastal taipan in Australia again, with its lovely blood clotting toxin that it envenomates. One bite will kill 12,000 guinea pigs. So these are nasty animals. However, these are not considered the most dangerous to humans. So let's go on to that list next.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jurassic Mark. So I get the fun list of the most kills per snake. So at number 5, I've got the Russell's viper, which is generally found in kind of Southeast Asia, India, China, that kind of area. And one of the key things with Russell's vipers is that 30% of people who get bitten and are then untreated will die because it results in kidney failure. And I was actually reading, Jurassic Mark, a scholarly article around kidney dialysis treatment.
Scholarly articles are good.
Kidney dialysis treatment for these bites, and it had different tables on people that recovered and died. Very fascinating. If you want to learn more, look that one up. At number 4, this is something that was in your list as well, Jurassic Mark, but crates. So the common crate kills around 10,000 people per year. Did you know that? Quite high numbers. We've also got the Indian cobra, which kills around 11,000 people per year, so that's pretty close to the crate. Both quite deadly, both live in fairly populated areas. So number 2 is the puff adder. So the venom is cytotoxic, which basically means it destroys your cells, and 50% of untreated cases result in death. So it's not the most venomous snake out there, but pretty high stats for that one. And then number 1 by far,
a landslide victory,
is the saw-scaled viper. If you see one of these, get out as soon as possible. So the venom of a saw-scaled viper is actually only lethal in 10% of bitten humans, but they kill as many people as any other snake species in the entire world combined. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
So because they live in populated urban areas, you've basically got no chance, and it kills around, there's sort of slight disparity between different numbers for different articles, but the one that I found is approximately 81,000 people per year. So there's normally around 5.4 million bites with 100,000 deaths per year, and apparently around 81,000 of those are from a saw-scaled viper, which is crazy.
Crazy.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble if you get one of those.
Yeah. Good fact. Bye for now.
Bye.